Welcome back to the channel, folks. Today I'm putting together kind of a follow-up to the $100 Chainsaw Shootout. This could probably be a standalone video, but I thought I'd add it in at the end of the series so far. I was looking around Amazon for replacement chains, and I thought maybe I'd pick up a couple of the lower priced ones and kind of compare, see how they hold up, and figuring if you're going to spend $100 on a chainsaw, you're probably not going to spend 50, 60, 70 bucks on a replacement chain to put on it. So I'll put some pricing up on the screen as I go through these, but basically I've got a 810, which I've used before. These are pretty decent chains. This one's a size day and a cut win, so I figured I'll get them on the saw. I'll run them exactly how they are, see how they hold up. I've got some pretty dirty logs. I'll cut up a few logs with each one and see how they maintain an edge, and then I'll see how they sharpen after that. So we'll start getting these unboxed, take a look at them. So we'll start with the 810. This is the most expensive out of the batch. As you can see, these are 325 pitch, 76 drive links, 58 gauge. This is what goes on those Zenoa clones. So you can see this is a true full chisel. It looks to be square ground. Definitely is not round. So it will be when I'm done, because I don't square file very well. So I'll put a round file to it and see how that takes. So I'll get some more up close footage of the cutters and links. Why, that raker looks awfully low. That's going to be pretty aggressive. So that was the 810. So let's see. Now this is should be a 3-pack. These are probably about what was on the saws when they came. I can compare the it says King on the bag, huh? Well, let's see what this one looks like. I believe when I was looking, I think these are all supposed to be full chisel. If I can get the knots out of it. There we go. This one looks to be more of a semi-chisel rather than a true full chisel. Again, I'll get some close-ups of them. And the cut win, I believe this was a 3-pack as well. Give you a replacement link. Can't imagine anybody who's buying these probably would have the tools to cut and spin in a new link. Now this is definitely a full chisel. So let me get up my other camera and get some pictures of the cutters and a little more detail, and see how they compare. Okay, so I've got the macro lens set up here. We'll start. This is the 810 chain. Take a look at these cutters real quick. I can get them all in focus. So there, as you can see, it's a full chisel. I wish I could get a little bit closer in on this, but that's the best I can do with this lens. So you can see there's that a B2 written on that link. What's the other side look like? And it does say 810 on it, upside down, but that's what it is. And that looks like it's a square ground, or almost a hex ground rather than a round file in there. But when I sharpen it, it will end up being round because I've tried square filing and it just doesn't work very well for me. So next up is the, I'm going to call it the King because that's what's on the inner packaging. The outer package, that name's a little harder to pronounce. So that's, again, that one looks like it's ground the same way. This one's semi-chisel from the looks of things. If I can get it into focus, yeah, there you go. It's definitely a semi-chisel. And what's on the other side? And no identification on that side. That looks like it's ground nice and sharp. And the last one is the Cutwin. This will be the cheapest of the bunch. Came in a 3-pack. Let's get it. So there's a tooth right side up here. I got this whole thing all twisted up. That one looks like it's round ground, round filed. And that one's a full chisel. And let's see what's on this side. And again, no markings. Oops, what's on that? Yep, it says Cutwin right on it. On both sides. So that's the profiles of these chains. Now it's time to get them on the saw and get some cutting. Okay, we're back up on the hill. We got a log up in the backhoe of the tractor here. We're taking a few cuts with the original chain that was on his bow. I'm only using this one because I don't feel like going and digging out one of the other ones, the wee bars and the pink way. They're down at the sawmill. I've got the EP10 chain on it. Let's take a few cuts and see how they compare. That was the EP10. It's stretched out quite a bit. Yeah. Next up is the Cutwin chain. Let's get her fired up. See how this one cuts. So it's stretched out quite a bit as well. That's the Cutwin. And the last one we have here is the King. let's see how this one cuts. So that's all 3 of them for the timed cuts. The times are on the screen. I've got a whole pile of logs here to cut up. Most of them have been dragged through the mud, and they're full of dirt and silt and stone. So it'll be a good test to see how well these chains hold up. So let's let me get set up. I'll get cut up a couple logs with each chain, and then I'll get some footage of the damage. I'll put a sharpen to them, and then we'll come back to this log and do some more timed cuts. Okay, now that I've got a couple logs on each one of these chains, let's take a look at the cutters here and see how they've held up. That one doesn't look too bad at all. This is the Cutwind chain. Does not look like the cutters wore down too bad at all. If you can hold the focus here. This looks like it's still got a nice sharp point on it. So let's take a look at, this is the 810. Let's see how this one held up. Well, looks like it held up pretty well also. Still looks, it's got a nice sharp point on that cutter. Doesn't look like it wore down too bad at all. And the last one is the King. Let's see how this one looks. Looks like it's still got a nice sharp point on it. Well, I'm going to go put them back on the saw. I'll file each one down, give them another sharpen. It'll be a round file. I'm not going to square file these. I'm not very good at that. So let's get that, and then we'll do some more timed cuts and see how they perform. In order to make this fair and consistent, I picked up this. It's a cheap Chinese knockoff of the steel 2-in-1 filing system. So I'm gonna give this a few swipes on each tooth with this just to clean up what's there. I'll mark this with a Sharpie so I can see when I get back around that which tooth I started with. Sometimes it's easy enough to see, but sometimes not. So you line up the face of the tool with the edge of the bar. That gets you your proper angle. It looks like it's cleaning up good. So I'll continue on with this. I won't make everybody suffer through watching me do the whole chain. This is the Cutwind chain. As you can see, this is pretty simple to keep your angle, and should do the depth gauges as well while we're cutting the cutter face. The only thing you have to make sure is you keep this angle perpendicular to the bar. Other than that, the guide or gauge will do the rest for you. The first couple passes are kind of stiff on this because it is, I believe this one was square ground to begin with. So we're cleaning up that square cut. And we're uniforming all the cutters to the same 30-degree angle. And you do have to be careful when you order one of these. They do come in different sizes. So this is the 325 pitch, or 0.325. There's a 3/8 P, which is for the 3/8 Pico chain. And then there's the standard 3/8, which is for your standard 3/8 chain. I have an actual steel 2-in-1 system for the standard 3/8. I figured anybody that's buying a $100 chainsaw probably not going to spend $50-$60 on a sharpening tool. So I think this was about $20. And quite honestly, probably for the price of these chains, most people aren't even going to sharpen them. They'll run them till they're dull and then throw them in the trash. And I don't know if you can see, there's an arrow on the tool to tell you which direction to file. It should be pretty self-explanatory, but hopefully this is in frame. I can't see the screen on the camera from here. And I'm running out of daylight after cutting wood all day. And there's the one we started with. So now if you take it and just flip it this way, now you go this way with it. And it helps if you're left-handed, which I am not, so I will have to use two hands to file this way. It does not want to go in there. I guess I'm going to have to turn the saw around the other way because I am not left-handed. So I don't know if you'll be able to see what I'm doing or not. It almost looks like the wrong size file. Let me check the camera and see if you can even see anything of what I'm doing. No, of course you can't. And bring it into focus. Okay. Let's see if I can keep my head out of the way here. First pass in there, the file's a little big to fit between the cutter and the raker. And when I'm pulling back, I'm pushing forward on the tool so I'm not dragging the file back against the cutting edge. So you're kind of going in towards the front of the bar, back out, so you're not dragging the file back across the tooth. Certainly gives the elbows a workout. And one more. Okay. Well, let me get the cameras moved over towards the log pile and get to cutting. Okay, this is the cut wind chain I just got done filing. Let's see if it cuts any faster than it did from the factory. Certainly feels more aggressive. Doesn't look like the chain stretched much. So let's put on another chain and get that one sharpened and see how that does. So this is the 810 chain, freshly filed with the knockoff 2-in-1 steel filing system. Let's see how this one cuts. Well, you'll see the times on the screen, but it definitely feels like these are a little more hungry than they were from the factory. Okay, one more chain to sharpen up. So this is the last chain for the day. This is the King, freshly filed with the knockoff 2-in-1. Let's see how this compares to factory's grind. Oh, very nice. So that's it for the cutting for today. Just for reference, this is some old maple. I don't know if it's hard or soft maple. It was cut down about 1.5 years ago, so it's good and hard. And you'll also notice I'm wearing chaps today. My cousin Mary, she's a subscriber, so she's probably watching. She bought me these for Christmas. Came with gloves, helmet, the face shield, the whole 9 yards. Real nice kit. So big thank you to Mary for that. Now I got to take these chains home, measure them up, compare the stretch rate between the three of them. And I've got a giant pile of wood I got to get split and stacked before it gets covered with snow. So that's it for now. We'll see you back at the bench. Welcome back to the bench, folks. Just going to wrap this up. I measured the stretch on the chains, and it's kind of hard to measure, not exactly smooth and round. So it looks to me like the cut wind stretched about the least of all of them. The 810 appeared to stretch almost 3/8 of an inch. That'd be kind of in diameter, but the cut wind seemed to only stretch about a 1/16 of an inch overall. The king, according to my measurement, shrunk, but that's not possible. So I'm guessing it stretched enough that the links moved position, so I'm actually measuring on a different part of the link than I was before. So that would explain that. So that's not exactly hard data, but it's a reference. So after the test cuts and sharpening, the numbers don't look good for hand sharpening. So the 810 and the cut wind actually cut slower after I sharpened them than I did before. I'm guessing that has to do with, at least with the 810 going from a square file to a round file. And the king actually sped up, which is odd, but that's probably because that's a semi-chisel rather than a full chisel. So I'm guessing that I need a little more work on my filing technique. Also helps that the king was the last one I filed, so by then I had a little more practice with the 2-in-1 filing tool. So, but overall, I'm thinking for anybody who's just going to buy these and use them kind of as disposable, the cut wind's probably the best bang for the buck. You know, they're $9 a piece. Get a 3-pack. You run them till they're dull, and then throw them in the scrap bin. So overall, kind of a messy video, but I think I learned something from it. I hope you did too. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Thanks for watching. And some boring bonus footage of me splitting wood.